Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm on the cybersecurity side of Netflix. Cybersecurity is a big umbrella. There is many verticals under the cybersecurity domain. I personally work on two: enterprise security and security governance and risk. I think the last time I was on, I talked about some of the open roles, and I know that Netflix, we are opening up a whole bunch of roles all the time. But I know in security we have a whole bunch of roles that are opening, a lot of management roles that are open, and also a lot of engineering roles. I think someone alluded to earlier about the salary at Netflix. Well, I would say that we are in the business of giving people the bag, and I'm, as a engineering manager, as a hiring manager, I'm always looking to get more Black folks the bag that they deserve in this field. So I'm big about networking and hooking people up and trying to get to the opportunities that they're looking for to build their career. So I'm just putting that out there.
So, Mr. Charles, let's talk about that because people got questions, right?
Bro, you
Let's
can't just
just
be
give
sliding.
a range of when you're talking about the bag. Just give me a range from beginner to mid level and then senior. It's just a range.
And, this is family talks. This stays in the family. I want to say beginner per se because we're still evaluating. I would say probably mid level and up, and depending on the role. So we have this concept of top of market, your personal top of market. So I will say in my group, or at least in the security spectrum, I could say like it ranges anywhere from, and Netflix is an all cash company. We do offer options, but we primarily focus on cash. I would say anywhere between it depends on like what aspect of engineering, security, and experience. There's a whole bunch of dimensions that fall into that. So, like I said, I'm a big proponent of just, I think, tech in general as a way to be a wealth generator for Black Americans and the Black experience. So I'm here just to be a facilitator and like help people connect the dots. Like I said, if possible, get them the bag that they deserve. I don't know if there's any questions.
No, thank you. I wanted the people in because hey, let me tell you something. You know, and hey, how it's a lot of naysayers out there. It's a lot of naysayers that said you can't, there's no way you're gonna get a job and they're gonna pay you 100,000. Don't nobody make over 300,000 in tech. In fact, I see it all the time. People like, oh, you can't make over 150,000. Now I'm starting to sound like Erica, but that's not my goal. My goal is to say this: you keep listening to the people that you want to keep listening to, or you put in the work.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big proponent. Put in the work,
Put in the work.
especially in this tech space. The money is there. The desire to have a diverse workforce is there. Part of it, I think, is just linking the people who have the hiring capabilities to knowing where the talent exists, then also the talent being prepared for the opportunity when it comes. Like there's two sides of this equation, like people that are looking, and then the people who have to do the looking and saying like, okay, let's make this happen. And the preparation can range from many things. I think the work here on like the Red Hat, understanding the principles of the directory structure. There's some foundations that it doesn't matter if you're using Red Hat, Ubuntu, Linux Mint, or whatever, like Debian. Like there are fundamental principles that if you learn principles and you learn how they either help support solving problems, because I think of engineering and this STEM field as just a big problem solving field. Like if you're able to see problems, solve problems based off of like sound principled investments or sound principled engineering thinkings, then you can go far in this STEM field. Um, so, like I said, if you need help with regards to salary compensation and negotiation, like reach out to me. If you're looking to get into like the Bay Area tech, please reach out to me. If you just want to talk about what's the journey in terms of from a security perspective, please reach out to me. I make my time available for those who want to use it, and hopefully it's mutual in return.
I got some questions. So I know you guys have been a very big proponent of being senior. Does being senior require a number of years, or is that a skill set?
I'll look at it from how I do interviewing and candidates. I look at it from experience and skill set. Like, how do you solve problems? And solving problems, meaning like you don't have, it's not necessarily always getting the right answer. I know that's probably counterintuitive, but it's like, how do you understand the trade offs you're making and why you're making those trade offs? And can you get to that point faster every time that you do that type of mental thinking and mental modeling? So, like for me, it's always like, well, how does this person view challenges and problems, and how do they solve problems, and how quickly do they get to those problems? And if they do make a mistake, how do they? And I don't say mistake in a negative way, but if it didn't land, how do they go back and like self reflect, improve for the next time around? And we do have remote roles, like so that is something we sort of expanded upon as an organization.
Yep. So remote roles, and then also being in California. Was it Los Gato? Is that
Los
right?
Gatos. So we got offices in Los Gatos. We also have offices in LA. Like I said, I know we're expanding into the remote work concept. Still determining what that means for different parts of the organization. I will paste my LinkedIn, Twitter, and stuff in the chat part, and then go from there.
So when you're talking about like I got up here on the screen now, I mean I'm gonna do a view all of on the security side here. I tend to take what is given here in terms of what the desired background is, what the desired skill sets is, and try to break that down so that you can go and get those skill sets for free, where you can go and start learning this information and go from there. Do you have, and I know there's a couple of mock interviews that you can do out there, like I think it's interviewers.io, which you can do anonymous interviews, but take people up on their offer when they're talking about doing these interview sessions, because it's nothing like having someone to do a mock interview with you and get you prepped. Even if you don't get the job at Netflix, you may get the job at Facebook, you might get the job at Google, you might get the job somewhere else because you actually are prepared. Like I told you before, I don't want you to walk out here and be at the help desk. That's not my goal. My goal is to have you walk out here and become leaders. We need leaders in these companies. We don't need more people at the beginning of the pipeline. We need for you at the be at the top of the pipe, so you can hold the door for somebody else open, so you can interview the people that we want to see, that we want to work with, that we want to make. That's where we're at.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and that's why when you ask me to come, I always try to make the time to come and continue preaching that same thing. I believe that STEM is a way to build wealth. And even if it's not the Facebook, Netflix, Apple, Google, there are tons of other tech companies that through a combination of just base salary and RSUs options and all that you never know. Like you just have to be at the company at the right time where you're still making a good salary, but you have like this reserve thing of options and RSUs and stock that could potentially pay dividends later in life. So I'm all about exposing people to the whole spectrum of the tech world that exists and understanding like what fits for where you're at in your career and where you're trying to go for your career trajectory. The example that I have is that as a hiring manager, I make my best to make sure I get people in the pipeline. If it's not here, I know a ton of other people who are looking to hire skilled black engineers, cyber professionals, everything. Like literally, I'm having a meeting tomorrow with other leaders in the Bay Area that are black, look just like me, and we're like trying to figure out how do we continue to expand our presence here with Bay Area tech companies, even with this remote culture. So I'm a big advocate. Like if you just please reach out. Like that's all
and
I can
and
say.
and tell us how we can more support you on these positions, because we can give the cybersecurity classes and training, and like I tell people all the time. I said this yesterday on the live. I struck a nerve, but it was playful. He came into the Slack today. I was like, hey man, stop getting these CISSPs and you don't have no tech skills. Like, get some tech skills behind these certificates, man. I'm trying to tell you. And the best way is to go into these different cloud vendors and mess up a box. Try to hack it. Like, yo, just try. Like, I'm telling you, I see it all the time. And I said this last night. I interview people, in particular men, and they'll have one skill out of the 15 that they need, and then be like, I'm good for the job, right? I can get this job, right? And some people will hire them. And we'll come in and we'll have 16s and we won't apply. It's just crazy. Hey, I just want us to win. And I brought out people that I know that are in the industry. You got someone from Netflix tonight. You got someone from Survey Monkey. I'm bringing on people from Red Hat. I'm bringing on people from Facebook. I'm bringing on people from all different cultures, from AWS to Google to even government contracting. You're needed. I don't care where you get started at. Get started. Let's go. We don't the time is now. You got to strike while the iron hot, and the iron is hot. I have never in my 20 years plus seen people like, can we just hire all the black people that's in your group? Like, people are like knocking at the door trying to hire us. But I want you to go in with the tech skills so you can negotiate. Get in here, let's learn. If you don't learn from me, learn from Charles. If you don't learn from Charles, learn from Joe. If you don't learn from Joe, learn from Rico. If you don't learn from Rico, learn from D. Learn from somebody, but take a step though. Don't sit on the sideline and let somebody else take your position.
I
That's
have a
my
question.
truth.
Quick question for
Mhm.
all of you guys. I noticed that people in tech normally stay at companies for, it looks like on average 2 to 4, maybe 5 years. Is that why? So are you learning new skills to enhance your skills at that new job? Is it a challenge, or are you just negotiating your salary?
I mean, from my personal experience, like I have a track record of probably around 2 years. Sometimes it's just the opportunity. Sometimes it's the networking with friends that say, "Hey, we want to bring you over here," and I'm like, "Okay, let's make this happen." So, like, coming from the East Coast, because I'm originally from the East Coast, I spent my first 8 years in the DoD working for DISA, and then coming out to the West Coast and then seeing how things operated here was just like a totally different thing. Brand loyalty is not as big a deal. Like hopping and switching is not seen as a negative thing, especially if you're building your career and you're making that impact, like that the scale and impact of the work that you're doing can sometimes it's just the opportunity like, oh, I want to go here to go work on this particular project because I know this company is either rolling this capability out. I want to go do that for the next year or two. Or, you stay longer if there's things that you would like to do at that company. So for me personally, it's always been about, oh, this is the next experience I want to learn. I want to go to this company because I know they do that well.
Okay, good answer. Only because that wouldn't work in corporate America, as you know, in some aspects or skills. So, got it.
That you know what that means? That means that job ain't for you.
That,
And
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
the Twitter link that I just put in the chat, and now I'm actually about to sign off, had a very good discussion about a guy was looking at applicants and said people keep job hopping every 5 to 8 years. Why? And that thread went on for a while, and it's got some good advice in there and some good reasons as to why that's happening. I'll throw it in Slack to D in town.
Yep.
Thank you.
One good reason is because no one wants to continue to work for you for a 2% raise. That's what it is, right? Yep. That's just those are facts. The other one is no one wants to keep getting overlooked for promotions.
Mm-hmm.
Hostile environment.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slew of things when it comes to these things. I get it all the time when I go on interviews. People are like, "Oh, I see you changed jobs." Well, why did you change jobs? Because I was ready to go. And they're like, "You have another reason?" No, I was ready to go. Like, and for me, I have no qualms with that. But you know why I have no qualms with that? Because I got my tech skills. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my tech skills are is my armor, right? Like, so you don't like me. Oh, but this one like me, and guess what? They pay more than both of y'all. So I'm gonna roll with them. They need me. I'm going over there. But you can flip that too and say, well, I want to start my own company, or I want to do contracting. You have those options, but you got to get your skills up in order to do that. And Charles, on as far as Netflix go,
Mm-hmm.
what are the top? when you're looking at applicants, what are the top 3 to 5 skills you're looking at?
I mean, like I think I iterated before. It's like, how do you solve problems? How do you approach problem solving? How do you recognize your limitations in your problems and make those trade offs? I just want to hear like the thought process. Most of my work is now in terms of like the risk side and some of risk quantification work, and how does that work at a large scale. So really, it's like scale. Like, how do you think of scale? How do you approach scale? What are some of the challenges when you get at scale? Um, so to me, it goes back to how do you view problems, how do you deconstruct problems, how do you iterate over problems, and how do you like have the self awareness to know like, hey, if I did this again, this is what I would change, or this is what I would do differently. So I'm all in a problem solving business, and I just look at tech as a tool to solve problems, or in my case, cybersecurity to solve problems.
You remember when I said yesterday, when you walk in, you are coming to solve a problem. You're providing a solution. You're the person that's coming in providing the solution. That's really what it is.
Yeah,
You're providing the solution. People laugh all the time and talking about, oh, she keeps talking about the scientific method, but that's what it is. It's taking it and peeling back the layers, breaking it down, analyzing what are the possible causes of this and how would I go about solving each one of these if it is that problem. It could be a multitude of problems. It could
yeah,
be one problem. But how do you break that down? How would you solve that? And that's how I look at Linux. That's how I look at walking in for a job interview. That's how I look at when I'm teaching, when someone asking me, if you all ask questions, that's how it's literally how I analyze stuff. Remember when I said keep their journal, right? Keep their journal, walk through, do those things. Be that solution. Don't be the problem though. Don't be the problem. Don't be the problem. Be the solution. Does anybody have any questions you want to ask? Let me know. Like, what we haven't heard was this helpful at all? I know you all didn't get a chance to get on the command line tonight. I know you're probably feeling like, man, we didn't do no training. She said she was gonna do some training. Tell me what your thoughts are. Did you like it? Is this helpful?
They did get some training. They got a lot of training. You guys got a lot of training. I got a lot of training.
So this for me, extremely helpful. As I told you last night, Tamika, I was about to pay for a certificate, paying thousands of dollars for it. Did no research, just was going to do it because it would look good on my resume. So it's great to hear that there's different avenues that I can look into that I've never heard of before, right? So very extremely helpful, extremely helpful. And I will be reaching out because I do have additional follow-up questions as it relates back to my career.
Got you. Anybody else? Let me know. Did we miss something that we didn't talk about? I got people hitting me up that's trying to get in now, from Red Hat that want to come and they're hiring. So I'm trying to provide solutions.
Can you talk a little more about cybersecurity, though, Charles, from the aspect of where the industry is going as far as what they're looking for, and where would you start?
oh, sure. Like I said, the cybersecurity umbrella is big. Um, I will do my best to try to get all the verticals. So you have your incident response, your cyber analysts, your detection engineering folks. That's one bucket. You have another bucket that you may hear referred to as like application security or product security, where they focus mainly on like I would say like red teaming, the security of like CI/CD pipelines, web app security. I would also say next would probably be like cloud infrastructure security. I thought I remember hearing something about Terraform, like how do you ensure the security of infrastructure, immutable images, the concepts of like the cloud networking infrastructure. All that stuff would probably like an infrastructure security component. Then you have like enterprise security, which would be like the laptops, the network, the wireless infrastructure that a company uses to enable the business and for their employees to use. Then there's like the governance compliance component. What are the security frameworks that we need to be compliant against? PCI, NIST CSF, SOX, ISO 27001, et cetera, et cetera. Those are, like, I would say, the major functions. In terms of where I see the field going, one, definitely more in line with a lot of the cloud infrastructure security. Many organizations are still making that transition into cloud infrastructure, understanding how to do like security and infrastructure as code, and how do you secure those pipelines, how do you ensure the integrity of those systems, endpoint, with data being moved around in so many places. How do we sort of secure the mechanisms for which people use their platforms? I would also say privacy and data security is data governance is probably a big thing. Individuals that have a legal background but understand like the tech, and like that's, I think that's a great space to be heading into, especially with global regulations around GDPR, California CCPA, and many other states looking to do the same, domestically and internationally. I am not involved in ICMCP. I've tried to in the past, but for some reason it's never worked out. But I think they have a meeting tomorrow, and I'm going to see if I can try to make that. This is to respond to Dom. So I would say like the infrastructure security is still a big deal. Detection and response is still a big deal because incidents will always happen. Application security is always a popular place for people to go to because the allure of the red teaming and things of that nature. So to be quite honest, there's so many pathways for security. I believe they're all still going to have a relevance of importance. It's literally just finding out which part of the verticals that are interested of you for you, and sort of diving in a little bit and getting some of that exposure to determine like, is this where I want to plant my feet. There was a link I shared out that talked about like security engineering and some of the principles there. It's a good place to sort of start to just get an idea of the foundations and principles. And I would say another space that's probably growing, the usability and psychology around security. Sometimes you can come in with the hammer and tell people you shall do this, but how can you look at it from a way to change behavior without using the stick, more on the carrot or the cake side, in terms of getting people to change their behaviors and outcome. So there's definitely work on like the psychology element of security and how do you engage people to make changes. So like I said, this umbrella called cybersecurity, there are so many functions and verticals within it. It's very hard to say like where it's all going, but I think there's growth in every vertical moving forward. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, that was great. That was awesome. And going back to compliance, which is my forte, you said PCI, NC, what was it?
Payment card industry for PCI. I think I said NIST CSF, NIST, cybersecurity framework.
RMF,
RMF, yeah, risk management framework is another one.
yep.
Uh,
And then NIST, you talking about NIST standards?
yeah, the NIST standards.
NIST standard and NIST framework, and then I think you said one other one,
ISO 27001.
right? And I think you were looking at PCI DSS.
Yep, PCI DSS.
Yep. All those frameworks, you can actually probably go right out on somebody's government website, and they break them all down. They all have to meet those standards. If you're not familiar with that, PCI DSS would be your credit card.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about your NIST standard, that's usually you'll see the government, DoD, have a set of standards. Let me pull that up real quick, not share the screen. So you're not like, oh, what is she talking about when she say NIST? So here's a NIST Institute of Standards. They have their publications out here about NIST, so forth and so on. When we were talking about that RMF risk management framework, you'll probably find some of that on here too. But again, just when we're talking about where does NIST reach out to, here's, you can see who has to meet a certain standard when we're looking at this. So just want you to be aware of that. Does NIST apply inside of DevSecOps? Absolutely. When we're talking about PCI DSS at some of these startups, they're taking payments, fintech companies that are taking payments, looking at what your risk is, what your landscape is. I'm sure you do this too, zero trust, Charles. That's something
Oh
we
yeah,
all
that's
yeah.
that's probably the new hotness is
Yeah.
that zero trust. And I know NIST has released guidelines around the zero trust networking. Google just released, I thought it was pretty major, their general availability product for corporations to look at how they do their beyond corp version of zero trust, like zero trust networking and zero trust architecture, identity and access, governance. Like that stuff is like real hot right now.
Yep, I'll give you one from Cloudflare. So again, when I say these, someone asked earlier when I'm talking about tech skills, these are some of those tech skills that I'm talking about. Being able to take, how can you take this information, these security standards, and apply it to your infrastructure, or apply it to your company, or apply it to your organization, being able to translate that to someone. And then this gets back on the other side. I'm on the other side where you start talking about, well, how do I take those standards and write those standards as policy as code? So now that those standards are automated, now instead of someone going through a process and filling out paperwork, we had those standards applied as policy as codes throughout our infrastructure, throughout our organization. Does that make sense?
Very helpful. Thank you so much to both of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any questions? Do you like to come like what you're hearing? I'm gonna put a 2 in the chat now if you like what you're hearing. Anyone opposed to the salary? Let me know if that wasn't it. That wasn't what you was thinking. We can switch that up.
And you know what? I want to encourage people for that are just joining the Slack to explore the channels. If you're new to Slack, it's broken up in channels. We got great cybersecurity articles, entrepreneur, cloud, drones, everything that everybody's kind of touched on, security, programming, automation. We have a lot of great info in there to get started. So before you start asking a lot of questions, I'm pretty sure we've already answered them already in the Slack channel. I would definitely start with tips and tools, training, channels, study guides. We have a Meetup channel. Those are the three that I would definitely dig into first. And if you are familiar with Slack, a lot of people, a lot of organizations have the free Slack. We don't have free Slack, we pay for it. So it's a great repository for information and to go ahead and dig into that. And then ask questions because, again, 98% of your new tech career is research. And so a person will know if you have not researched a situation.